Hello, friends. I have a question for you. Are you living your life or are you living the one that others expect of you? It's time that we start shifting from outward approval to inner validation. So, this week we've been talking about or focusing on self knowledge. And it's really the first steps towards self empowerment. And by doing that, we're mastering our self knowledge. It is a way for us to look at the foundations of self knowledge that will take us through people pleasing, which we'll talk about next week. And the week after that, we'll go into boundaries. And then the fourth week, I'm going to introduce pendulum dowsing to you, and that can help facilitate personal clarity. For those that don't know me, welcome. I am Sandy. I am your guide through this landscape of self knowledge. I focus on women in their vibrant second spring. And you're probably wondering, what the heck does that mean? Second spring is all about really creating that next chapter in your life. Maybe you've recently gone through a transition or you're anticipating going through a transition. It could be, through your job, you've retired or you're changing jobs, or now you're an empty nester, or went through a divorce, whatever. It's that second spring to me is that next chapter, creating the life that you want, a life of authenticity. So today I have 3 points I'm going to share with you in our journey to self-knowledge. So the first is defining what is self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is really our inner compass. It's who we are at our core, going beyond societal expectations. So let me share a story with you. When I was newly single after my first husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore, and I think I probably shared this before, maybe some of you have heard it. I remember going to a singles event a friend of mine dragged me to. I hate those events, still do. Thankfully, I don't have to go to them anymore, but she dragged me. Somebody asked me, what did I like to do? I had no clue what to say. I didn't know what I liked to do. And it was at that moment that was pivotal for me that I realized that my whole entire identity was wrapped up in my ex-husband. We did what he liked to do. We hung out with his friends. So it took me a good 11 years before of working on me and figuring out, what did I like to do? Now, at that 11 years, did I know everything? No. Because at that point, then I came into realizing I was kind of a chameleon, and I'll talk more about that in a future live when we talk about people pleasing and boundaries. Um, but it's really, when I say I took 11 years, that was before I was even willing to consider going out on a date with anybody, because I didn't know. I mean, I realized that I really didn't know who I was. And that is key. We have to know who we are. So, my question for you is, when was the last time you felt a choice deeply reflected the real you? Put that in the comments. Answer that for me. So, once we define our self knowledge, then it's all the second point. My second point is the ripple effect of knowing yourself. Recognizing your true self is the first step towards stopping the people pleasing. When you know your likes and your dislikes and your triggers, then you're no longer conforming so that you please everyone else at your own expense. Trust me, been there, done that, know it well. So, what is one situation that you felt pressured to please others over your own comfort? Maybe reflect on that. I mean, and I'll again, like I said, next week we're going to talk about people pleasing. And I've got actually a course that I'm getting ready to launch about overcoming people pleasing. And I'll talk about that next week too. But for me, I used to say yes all the time when I really didn't want to. And I'm pretty sure I shared before that I didn't want to disappoint people. I didn't want to make people mad. So I would say yes, even though I didn't want to. And then at the last minute, I would either make an excuse not to go, uh, or I would go and be miserable. So think about for you, what is one situation where you felt pressured to please others over your own comfort? Okay, so the third point is that self knowledge is a gateway to boundaries. You have the power to set those boundaries. You do. Might be difficult, but you can do it. In the coming weeks, we will go deeper on this topic. Like I said, in week 3, we're going to talk about boundaries. That'll be our focus for the week, and I'll do a live on boundaries. But setting boundaries is a natural defense against losing yourself. So the question for this point is, can you identify a boundary that, if you set it, could significantly improve your well-being? Think about that. So our takeaways for today is self-knowledge is the first key to unlocking a life lived with intention, not obligation. The second takeaway, understanding yourself dismantles the habit of people pleasing, and it cultivates genuine relationships. And the third takeaway is that setting boundaries is a form of, it's actually a form of self respect. And trust me, your future self will thank you for it. So I like to keep these lives short. So if you have comments about any of these, please put them, or questions, put them in the comments. And as we progress through this series, I encourage you to reflect and engage with every step and really think about them. Um, and make a promise to yourself to recognize one pattern of people pleasing and consider a boundary that could change it. Today is the day that you reclaim your narrative. Self knowledge is just the beginning. We are all on a path to set boundaries, end people pleasing, and eventually use tools like pendulum dowsing to clear past events. And I'll talk about that in week 4. Your second spring is blooming. I'm here to support you. I'm with you every step of the way. I look forward to interacting with you. And just an FYI, this is actually recorded because I'm at a retreat this week and I didn't know if I'd be able to go live at the time I scheduled. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I recorded this one, but all the future next three ones I will be live. And so I'll be able to interact with your questions. In the meantime, put your questions below and I'll be checking in the group and responding to those questions. I look forward to your feedback. Have a blessed day, and I will talk with you all soon. See you in the group.